Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this online healing retreat brought to you by acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I'm so happy you've joined us today. I'm going to introduce our host of this online healing retreat today. Pamala Oslie is a professional psychic, and she works with celebrities, many celebrities as well, and she's known for her accuracy. And she's going to share with us today how we can use aura colors to identify behaviors and personalities within ourselves and others. It's going to help with relationships and other areas of your life. Pamela's website is www.auracolors.com, and she is going to also share with us today how we can tap into parallel universes and bring in alternate realities that we've created with our thoughts. So sit back and enjoy as we hear from Pamela. Now, she can see and sense energy fields around people, and she's going to help us learn more about how we can become more intuitive as well. Thank you, Pam Oslie, for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me on your very special event. I think it's wonderful.
Well, here we are, and we're going to talk about aura colors. Share your story before we hand over the reins to you of how you came to become aware of this trait.
Okay, many years ago, actually over 28 years ago, I went to hear a psychic speak. He was a shaman from England, and I walked into the room, big room of people, and I was sitting there listening to him, and he pulled me up in front of the group that night and said, "You know how to do this information too. You know how to be psychic. Get up here and start telling people what you see about them." So I was a little freaked out. He basically threw me in the water, and it was interesting, Lauren, because I found out that I was seeing all kinds of information about people, very detailed information about people. So, for example, I knew one woman was having problems with an old green car, and I knew another woman was pregnant. She didn't even know she was pregnant. I saw the spirit of a little girl standing next to her. So she went to the doctor, found out she was pregnant, and she did end up having a little girl. So that was the beginning of it. I started doing psychic readings then for my friends, who quickly turned into their friends, who quickly turned into hundreds and thousands of people very quickly. And then about a year after I started doing that, I met a woman who could see auras. And I watched what she was describing about people. I would bring her up to Santa Barbara to do workshops, and I discovered that what she was describing about people's personalities and who they were matched with what I was picking up psychically about people. So after working with her for a while, I went, "Oh, that's a red. Oh, that's a blue. I get it. Now that's a yellow," because I had noticed different personality traits that were consistent with different types of people. So within about a year of working with her, I developed the ability, well, first I was able to tell what people were psychically, and then slowly I was able to start seeing and sensing the aura too. So now I can do it on the phone, I can do it on my radio show, I can do it, tuning into somebody who's crossed over. So that's how I got started in this.
Well, that's really cool, and your website, auracolors.com, is just one. And before we get started, let's talk more about the work that you do there with your websites, because those are pretty fascinating. You also have spoken at TEDx, which that's pretty cool.
Right.
And you are out in the media. I have seen you on a video with Ilyana, who was with...
Yanla.
And you were just on the Ricky Lake show. So,
I was.
Yeah, you are becoming in the mainstream.
I know, isn't that fun that people in the mainstream are interested in this? It's becoming wider and wider. When I first started doing this work over 28 years ago, it was predominantly females. 80% were females and 20% were their husbands or boyfriends or guys that were just curious. Now, Lauren, I'm finding it about 60-40. About 60% of the audience is women, and 40% of the guys are starting to come in now. They're starting to really get it, to wake up. And that's not an insult to guys. It's just they were busy doing other things. So I'm definitely seeing a shift in the fact that people now, I mean, even the TEDx, which is, you know, technology, entertainment, and design, they do very advanced information, advanced technology and everything. So for them to invite someone like me on, I think says quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yes. It's really cool, and more people, we were talking earlier before the show about the shift of the ages and how more and more people are going to be waking up, and it's as if they're hungry for this information. So good work to
Right.
you. Excellent work, Pam. We are excited to have you share with us. And so the first hour, I'll explain real quick for everyone so we know where we're going in this 2 hours that we have together. The first hour is going to be on aura colors, and we'll hear some from Pamela on what that's all about, and we'll also find a moment to interact with you. So if you have your GoToWebinar control panel open, it's on the right side of your screen, there's a little option for you to raise your hand. And you can raise your hand if you wish to speak with us, and we'll go over a few examples. You know, Pamela's worked with many celebrities and works with many celebrities, and to have a private reading with Pamela, it's a 5-month waiting list or a 6-month waiting list. So this is a great chance for you if you wish to ask a question, raise your hand, and we'll try to get to you. We won't be able to get to all the callers on the line, but we'll try to get to a few of you for some examples. And even though you may not be called on, you're still going to start to recognize some of these traits, and then some of these traits within yourself, and you could probably determine your own aura color dominant patterns or dominant aura colors. And then the second hour, it's all going to be about parallel universes, which that's a fascinating quantum physics conversation and a meditation to show you exactly how Pam has done this in her life. So with that, sit back and thank you, Pamela.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Well, Loren, I'm sure you have a much more advanced clientele or listeners, people that are listening, they already know what an aura is. But just in case, excuse me, there's someone on here that doesn't know what an aura is. Hold on. Sorry, a little bug in my throat. A frog, if it's one of those little creatures. Anyway, I like to start out just explaining to people what it is that I see and what an aura is. So it's an energy field that radiates off of everything. Well, you know, Einstein said E equals mc squared, and quantum physics knows that everything's energy. And I can see and sense some of this energy. I see it as radiating light that comes off of people. And you might have quite a few people on here that do see the aura or feel it because they're energy workers or healers. But we've all felt it, even if we can't see it. That's why you can be around someone and instantly like them or feel safe being close to them. You just feel attracted to them or bonded to them, or you've got chemistry with them. And other people, you just don't like their energy. You want to pull away. You don't feel comfortable even being in their same presence. So what you're feeling is their energy field. So the way that I see and sense the aura is I see lots of different colored bands out from you. They radiate out. There's a band closest to your body, and then another band of color on top of that, and then another color band, you know, outside of that one. And it's the one or two colors that I see that are closest to a person's body that we'll be talking about today. Those are the life colors. Those are what reveal your personality, especially your life purpose, the reason that you came to the planet. It shows how you are in relationships, what you need in relationships, different careers that you're going to be drawn to, potential health issues, how you see, perceive, and interact with money and other people and children and all kinds of things. So I have a lot of people ask whether or not everyone sees it the same way, and in my experience, they don't. Just like I believe we don't taste food the same way. So if you see auras and you see different colors than I do, that's awesome. It doesn't mean somebody's right and somebody's wrong. It just means we're having a different experience. We've been given a different ability to see or sense them differently. Or if you encounter someone who says that you have a golden aura with white all over it. And I don't describe it that way. I might say you're a blue-yellow. Again, it doesn't mean one person's right, the other person's wrong. It's just ask what that means in that person's paradigm, in that person's modality, and see if they can explain to you how they define those colors, because it should fit. So the outer bands are the colors in the aura that change all the time according to what's going on with you at the time. So when I see somebody really angry, I see red flaring up in the outer bands. That's not the same as a red life color. If somebody is born with a red life color, like Madonna's a red, Lady Gaga's got a lot of red, Sean Penn, Russell Crowe, Dolly Parton, Marilyn Monroe had a lot of red. That's a life color. That shows a purpose, a life purpose, not the same as just getting angry all of a sudden. It's in the outer bands. So anyway, so I talk about the life colors. I categorize them into 3 different family types because it makes it easier for people to understand. So I see 14 different aura colors, and they're either categorized in the physical family, and those are the colors that get what's real. They process life. They process information through their physical bodies, through touch. And those are red, orange, magenta, and yellow. And then I see the mental family, and those are the colors that get what's real, or they process life through analyzing it, through their minds, through logic, through data. And those are 4 different types of tans: sensitive tan, environmental tan, logical tan, and abstract tan. And I'll probably be discussing the tans pretty much all. They're almost all alike except for just subtle differences, so I'll tell you about the differences. And greens, those are the mental family. And then in the spiritual emotional family, those are the people that process life through their inner vision, their intuition, their emotions, their spiritual sense, and those are blues, violets, indigos, crystals, and lavenders. And all of this is on my website, the main website to go to, and there's a free quiz for adults and for children. There's 2 different quizzes on there. You go to lifecolorscity.com, lifecolorscity.com. You can go there and take the quiz. I also have books, Life Colors and Love Colors. Both of them have the quiz in it. So you can discover your own aura colors and those of your friends, your family, your partners, your coworkers, anyone else that you're interested in. You can have them take the quiz, or most likely you could probably take the quiz for them if you know them well enough. So anyway, just briefly, I'm imagining that the majority of people that are listening on this call are either blues, violets, indigos, crystals, lavenders, some yellows. A lot of yellows, you're curious about this. Probably a few tans, maybe some greens. The colors that I don't typically see on these calls are reds, oranges, and magentas, first of all. So I won't spend as much time on those colors. Reds, as I touched on before, Madonna, Lady Gaga, they're more about their physical bodies. Now, Lady Gaga also has some violet in her aura, and oddly enough, so does Madonna now. Since she had her first child, she added more violet in her aura, which was interesting. So, but reds usually don't believe in this, yet reds are more about being a physical being in this lifetime. They're more about their sexuality, their sensuality, or I see a lot of truck drivers or farmers or construction workers or anybody that uses their physical body to really experience life. It's all about, eat, drink, be merry, be an animalistic, really live in the flesh in this lifetime. Now, what I want to explain to people before I get into each one of these aura colors is the colors basically reflect what you've chosen to experience in this lifetime. They really reflect your life theme. I believe that in different lifetimes you have different aura colors, different life colors. And believe it or not, without getting into too much belief system right now, because this isn't the subject today, all those lives are going on simultaneously. So you may be a violet in this lifetime or a violet yellow. In another lifetime that's going on simultaneously, you may actually be an orange or a red or a magenta or a tan, and it's not the experience you're having this lifetime. So you've chosen a certain theme, things you wanted to experience in this lifetime, things you wanted to learn about. You wanted, mostly out of curiosity. It's like, I want to know what it feels like to be a yellow, or I want to do the violet's lifetime this time. I want to see what that feels like. I want to have that experience. So since all these lives are simultaneous, and again, another time, or maybe later when we talk about quantum physics, we can talk about how I know that. They're all happening simultaneously. So there are no good or bad colors, better than or worse than colors. I see a lot of violets going, I'm a violet, I'm very advanced, I'm more advanced than most people. But in other lifetimes, you're also being a yellow. So it's, yes, you might be learning something, but it's basically the theme that you've chosen for this lifetime. So, and people ask me if you can change your life colors. Remember, it's the outer bands that change all the time. It's the one or two colors that are closest to your body that don't typically change in this lifetime. Now, I would never tell someone that they can't change anything, because I've got yellow in my aura too, and there's quite a few yellows listening. Yellows, as much as we're pleasers, boy, we don't like being told what to do. Right, Loren? She's got some yellow in there too. So yellows don't like being told what to do. I don't limit anyone. I believe anything's possible. But in the 28-plus years that I've been doing this, I've maybe seen 4 or 5 people change their actual life colors, and it's only because they were done with it. They did what they came here to do, and now they're experiencing, they want to experience something beyond that, something different. And the way I see the life colors, it's similar to your astrology, numerology, iridology, palmistry. All of those should fit in, because in my perspective, my belief system, before you came here, you had desires of what you wanted to experience, and you left clues behind. And the aura colors are one of the clues. In case you got to the planet and forgot why you came here, you can go look at your astrology chart, you can look at your aura colors and go, oh, that's right, that is me, that is what I wanted to do here. They're not meant to limit you or to box you in or tell you you have to be a certain way. They're reflecting back what you are choosing to do in this lifetime. So I want to make sure people understand that they're not controlling you. I don't do this work to box you in or tell you have to be a certain way. The information in this should validate and confirm what you've always sensed deep inside, possibly even since you were a child, of who you really are. But this work is to help people really become who they came here to be in this lifetime, to fulfill their choices here and their desires here, and to put you on the path that actually matches with that so you can feel happy and fulfilled, not to put you in a box like probably most people have done, like parents or authority figures or teachers told you it had to be a certain way. That is not what this is. This is to free you up and to validate you. So back to this. So the reds, you understand about reds, very physical. Reds, they're usually very strong-willed. Some of them can be very intelligent, very quick, very bright. Dolly Parton is a red. They're very quick. They also have very hot tempers usually, and they're so strong-willed a lot of them end up being loners because most people can't keep up with them as far as their physical and their brute strength and also their stubbornness. But there's also the down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth, hard-working reds that are out there, like I said, driving trucks and tractors and moving boulders and working with their physical bodies. I doubt we have any reds on the call other than some of the pampered reds. There's either the hard-working reds or they're the pampered reds that just want, you know, spas and massages and, you know, fine coats and fine champagne. And now some of you violets may want that too, or violet yellows, but reds, it's really all about their physical bodies. And then we have the oranges, and I'm 99.999% sure, because I'm not feeling any oranges listening in right now. Oranges are the daredevils on the planet. Maybe some of you know oranges, but oranges need to put their lives on the line to feel alive. So I see them being skydivers and race car drivers and stunt people and firemen and policemen. They've got to have adrenaline rushes. So very much Jackie Chan and Evel Knievel. And they're not worried about pain. They just need excitement and adrenaline. And if they break a bone, they don't care. They just keep pushing past it. And usually, oranges don't believe in psychic abilities or ESP or auras. They're not interested in that. They want to go climb, you know, Mount McKinley or jump out of airplanes or go bungee jumping or something. They're not interested in this type of stuff. And a lot of yellows are very physical like that too, and they like adventures, but the difference is yellows don't like pain and oranges don't care about pain. And then we have the magentas. Probably not a lot of magentas on here either. Magentas tend to be the outrageous, eccentric, bizarre. A good example of who portrayed a magenta is Kramer on Seinfeld. They're kind of shocking. They've got shocking behavior. They like to really stand out. They're usually very creative, but they tend to be very bizarre and outrageous. So for those of you that are old enough, Andy Warhol was a magenta, and like I said, Kramer portrays a magenta. He's not really a magenta, but he acts like one on the show. So outrageous, they like to shock people, very bizarre behavior. They don't keep normal hours, and they're very much still about physical reality, but they like to take physical things in an artistic form and twist it into very bizarre, outrageous, outlandish, anything that shocks people. They like to, they get a kick out of shocking people and being eccentric. So that's magenta. And then yellows, we do have some yellows on the call. Now yellows, you probably have a mix. You're a yellow green, a yellow violet, a yellow blue, maybe a yellow tan. I don't usually see a straight yellow. Yellows, and I'm sure a lot of you have parts of this in you, yellows are the big, fun-loving kids on the planet. They like to play. They like to laugh. Now, there's two different types of yellows. There's either the funny, outrageous, energetic. Yellows have a hard time sitting still. They even get accused of being ADD a lot because they fidget. Their hands are always moving. They're always fidgeting around. Or they get into sports, activity. So yellows, the healthy yellows, or the fun-loving yellows, are just, they want to have fun. But we also have the shy yellows, the very sensitive, quiet yellows. So a lot of quiet, shy yellows believe that they're crystals. I see a lot of yellows testing high on the crystal because they're so similar. So yellows need variety in their life. They want to do some of this and some of this and some of this. They don't want to do the typical 9-to-5 jobs and sit behind a desk all day. That's really boring and they get restless. So if yellows work, first of all, you yellows never want to do just one thing in this lifetime. You need variety. You need change. You need to do a little bit of everything just for fun. But yellows, if they do work, they're either drawn to the creative field, so you're writers, artists, designers, musicians, anything that uses creativity, performers, although yellows can get very insecure. So if you're a violet yellow and you're drawn to the performing arts, the violet usually wants to be famous, and yellows get insecure and go, well, what if people don't like me? What if I fail? So they're basically big kids. So yellows either get into the creative field, or you guys are natural healers. Yellows can often get into massage therapy or healing work, energy work. They're doctors, they're veterinarians. Usually yellows prefer holistic and natural healing. That's another field for yellows. Or they get into the physical fields. Yellows like nature. So I see them being yoga instructors or dancers, or a lot of yellows are construction workers or mountain hikers, or anything that they can use their physical body. And that is something for all you yellows to know. Yellows need to be in nature. They have to spend time in nature. Otherwise, you guys get depressed, you get anxious, you just get fidgety and antsy, and then you start getting depressed. So if you do have yellow in your aura, number one thing is every so often you've got to go outside and move. Yellows also need to exercise. Very important for you yellows. And if you're a blue-yellow, when we get to the blue, you'll see. If you're a blue-yellow combination, that can be a conflict because blues don't like to exercise and yellows need to. So make sure you're doing that. If you want to know if you're yellow too, you can go take the quiz. But also, you yellows, typically yellows don't look their age. You guys are the perennial Peter Pans. You'll always feel or look younger than your years. Matter of fact, most yellows feel like they haven't even gotten started yet. And a lot of yellows can get yelled at like, when are you going to grow up? When are you going to get a real job? Well, yellows don't want real jobs unless it's creative or fun, or they're healing people, or they get to work with nature. It's not the regular. I would never put a yellow working in a bank unless it's a green-yellow mix. So you yellows can stay healthier than everybody else. When you yellows are happy, you never age. You're always healthy. You know to exercise. You guys typically are very healthy eaters. That's a yellow in power, meaning the positive side of a yellow. When yellows are out of power, and I use the terms in power for the positive qualities, and out of power, which is out of balance, out of power, you're not living your full potential, You're out of your center. You're out of your empowerment. The downside of yellows is they can get insecure, then they get flaky and irresponsible, and you yellows are really good at procrastinating. Think of all these great ideas and then you don't get on with it. When a yellow is really out of power, they're the most addictive personalities on the planet. So when yellows are happy, they're addicted to exercise and health and working out and being out in nature and laughter. That's an empower yellow. And all the things that I just described. Out of power, yellows' addictions, because yellows don't like conflict, but when they're not happy, they get into drugs or alcohol or cigarettes or caffeine or chocolate or sweets or overeating, or they get into being a sex addict. Yellows are very addictive personalities. So if you go to an AA meeting, predominantly what you're going to see in there are yellow combinations. So anytime you yellows find yourself doing that, yellows only do those things when they're not happy, when there's something wrong with their lives and they don't know how to fix it. So then they hide out and they start doing addictions because that's how you cover it up. Well, I don't feel good. I'm not happy. I'm afraid of life, so I think I'll just go eat something. So all you yellows need to do to get back in power when you find yourself nervous, scared, procrastinating, unhappy, all of those energies or addictions is number one, to get in balance is number one is exercise. Number two is staying away from the negative addictions. And you can't tell a yellow not to do that because you yellows hate being told what to do. You're pleasers, you're sensitive, you want everyone to like you, but boy, you don't like being told what to do. So if you tell a yellow what to do, they'll do the opposite just to prove you can't control them. So what I encourage yellows to do is eat healthy and stay away from the negative addictions. The more you do the positive addictions like exercise and fresh air, things like that, the more you'll stay away from those negative addictions. And then the third thing for yellows is a sense of humor. So exercise, watching out for those negative addictions, and a sense of humor. If you yellows can laugh about things, if you can make it funny, you can survive anything and you come up with creative ideas and solutions then. Another way to know if something's bothering a yellow is usually you're very healthy, but the weak spots for yellows are their back, legs, and knees. So backs, it's like somebody's on your back, including yourself, going, you should, you should, you should, or you're holding back. And I hear people going, yeah, but I got in a car accident, and that's why my back, or I got in a football injury. It's like, no, no, no. If you injured your back, there's something going on with you. That's where you store your unhappiness. Knees are typically a fear of moving forward, stepping forward. Yellow males can also do prostate issues, and liver is also a problem area for yellow. And yellows also, when they're really unhappy, they are the first ones to get diabetes because that's a lack of joy. And yellows, your life purpose is to bring joy to the planet. You're the one color that knows we're supposed to be having fun here. So you guys are here to help us heal and to bring joy and laughter and lightness and play here. That's a yellow's life purpose. So those are yellows. Then all the tans, remember in the mental family, and you may have a tan as a part of your life colors. So since you have two, most people have two life colors. Tan may be one of them. But you also may have learned tan. You may be, say, a yellow violet or a green violet and have been raised to think you're supposed to be a tan because a lot of people, especially in the States, are raised to think they're supposed to be tans and blues. And you might be doing tan jobs, but you're not happy with it. So if this describes the real you, you'll be happy with this description. You'll like it. You feel comfortable with this. If you feel uncomfortable with this, it's a good chance that you've learned how to be a tan and it's not your real colors. So tans are very practical, logical, grounded. It's all about security and stability and practicality. And tans feel the best when they have safe, secure jobs and paychecks. Tans are typically the ones that take care of the details. So I see tans being accountants, bookkeepers, computer operators, engineers, architects, anything where you guys can handle the details. So tans are not big picture people. It's like they're a little bit afraid to be in front of audiences or leading the way. Tans would rather like, tell me what the job is and I'll take care of that. So tans typically keep things very organized and efficient as far as like you want things to be step 1, then step 2, step 3, step 4, everything sequential and orderly. and common sense and practicality. So if you're married to a tan, or if you've dated a tan, or you'll recognize this. Tans typically are very safe and secure with their money. They're not gamblers. They're not risk takers. They want to put them in safe, long-term investments. They can be very cautious with their money. They don't like spending it lavishly, which if you're a green or a violet, you'll recognize that's not you because they're just the opposite. Tans, if you're married to a tan, they don't want to buy a new couch all the time. They don't need a lavish, fancy home or couch or car or anything. They want something that's reliable, that lasts a long time, that's secure, doesn't cost a lot of money, and tans typically don't like change. So if you're in a relationship with a tan, they don't like it if you move the furniture around. They want things in the same place. They take the same route to work. They don't like it if their job starts to go away. If they have to go get another job, that can really scare a tan because they like security and stability and same. They don't like change. You tans want, if you're going to go get another job or if you have to move someplace, you want to know, well, what are the new job details? How much am I going to be paid, and who am I going to work with, and what's the living environment, and what's the town like, and what are the neighbors like, and what are the schools like? Tans really need a lot of information and data before they take a leap. Tans typically, well, the good news about you tans is you have the patience enough to take care of the details that some of the other aura colors don't want to do. So tans will patiently, if somebody's really upset, like blues and violets can be very highly emotional and big dramatic types of things, and tans will like, okay, calm down, let's look at it, everybody just calm down, we'll figure it out. So you got to let tans take a long time, or grounded time to really figure it out. Usually when you're listening to a story with a tan, they're telling you all the details of what happened that day, and you don't want to rush a tan because they want to lay the foundation, and if you rush them, it's like, because you greens and violets want to get to the punchline, come on, just 150, 1 to 10, tell me what happened. Don't just tell me steps 1 and steps 2 and step 3 and step 4. I just want to know the bottom line. But you can't rush a tan because then they think that you're not going to get the gist of the whole story. So the good news about tans, they're reliable, they're stable, they will be long-term. They're usually the ones that want to work in the same place their whole lives because they like the retirement benefits and the Social Security and the 401ks. That feels the best to a tan. So that's the positive side of tans. They're very grounded and reliable, and they'll take care of the things that most other people don't want to. The downside of tans is they can get very stuck in their ways, and they don't like change. So, and they typically, most tans, now I'll get into the different tans just briefly, very quickly, but most tans don't like change, so they can be very resistant. So they don't usually believe in things like psychic phenomenon, or if there's not scientific data for it, if there's not mathematics behind it, if there's not logic and proof behind it, they tend to be more skeptical. Now, there's a subtle difference between all the tans. Sensitive tans are a tan-blue combination, and I'm going to describe blues in just a little bit. Blues are more intuitive and psychic and emotional. So a sensitive tan is a combination between the tan and the blue. So if you ever watched the show Murder, She Wrote, where she was very practical and analytical, but she still had that intuition, that is an example of a sensitive tan. So they're very loving, very calm, very practical. They make great therapists or great support people where they'll take care of the home or they'll help out with the PTA. So they'll take care of the details, but also very loving, very warm, very intuitive. That's more the sensitive tan. A logical tan is just basically a straight tan. What I just described to you is very common for logical tans. Engineers, accountants, bookkeepers, computer programmers, computer operators, details, technology is very common for tans to be in. An abstract tan, well, an environmental tan, I'll say abstract tan for just the next one. Environmental tan, Clint Eastwood's an environmental tan. They're very down-to-earth, very solid, very grounded. You see Clint Eastwood, you don't see him smiling a whole lot because environmental tans tend to be very serious. But it's all about, they have the ability to measure the environment. They can hold something in their hand and tell how much it weighs. They can look at a bunch of boxes and look at the place that it needs to go in and know exactly where those boxes need to go. So they're much more spatially oriented with their logic. They know how to do those. I see them a lot being in measuring the environment, or researchers or scientists or anybody that gets to work with the environment. I see them a lot being fascinated by airplane gadgets or the panel on the airplane or submarines, anything where there's technology but it has to do with their environment. And then an abstract tan, this is the one that's the most unusual of the tans. Abstract tans still want to handle the details, but they tend to get very scattered. Now, some of you yellow violets are going to think you're an abstract tan, but it's a little bit different. They're similar qualities. That's why this can get tricky. Tans do prefer to work with the details, but they will do steps 1 and then 5 and then 7 and then 3 and then 9 and then 11 and then 12. They just jump around. There's not really any order to how they get things done. So, for example, if an abstract tan is going to plan a party, they will decorate the house and then go clean the house and then go get ready for the party and then go bake the cake, where people will go, wait, why wasn't the cake baking while you were cleaning the house, and then you decorate, and then you take your own shower and clean yourself up, and then you get ready for the party. And an abstract tan will go, what's the problem? I got it done. It all got done. So what if it didn't happen in the order you think it should be? That's an abstract tan. Then quickly, greens. Greens are the type A personalities on the planet. They want to accomplish. They're very bright. They're very powerful, very quick. Greens, where tans will go 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. Greens go 1, 2, I got it, 10, let's go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. They tend to be the workaholics, very driven. They're the type A personalities. Very bright, very powerful. Donald Trump is a green. Bill Gates is a green with violet. Barbara Walters is a green. David Letterman is a green with yellow. So it's all about accomplishing and smarts and business. And Shirley MacLaine is a green with violet. Very quick, intelligent people. Greens in their power are movers and shakers. They can accomplish anything they put their minds to. And greens usually like things organized and efficient, and they write lists. I see them a lot getting into business. So they are corporate CEOs, they're real estate agents, they're car salesmen, they're anything to do with a lot of money, business, power, intelligence. They need to be mentally stimulated. And greens can get very impatient and very bored easily because greens have to process so quickly. So greens like nice things, nice furniture, nice clothes, nice cars. Now, a lot of you violets do too, so there's a little bit of a difference here. So a lot of times with the green, they'll get PhDs and masters, and I mean, they need to be respected and be able to accomplish things. But a lot of greens also are entrepreneurs. So you see a lot of respected greens never even, they finished high school and that was it, but then they became an entrepreneur and really fought quick and made a lot of money. So money, intelligence, power, accomplishment, those are all really important words for a green. And when greens can get it done, greens are in power, boy, they get it done. When greens are out of power, greens are, well, none of the aura colors are pleasant to be around when they're out of power, but greens are really obvious when they're out of power. Greens get impatient and frustrated and critical and judgmental, and they will finish people's sentences for them, and they blame, and then they're the first ones to get heart attacks and ulcers. They're such workaholics, but they really carry stress a lot. So I'm sure a lot of you either think you're a green and you may be a violet instead, or you've added green in your aura, learning how to get things done really quickly. Or if you are a green, you may also have something countering it, like a blue or a violet or a yellow, because usually a lot of greens, I don't see a lot of greens on these calls because greens already believe they know everything. So usually they're out there getting work done and accomplishing things. But you may be a green mix, a green violet, like I said, or a green blue or a green yellow. But you can see that could cause a problem, right? The yellow wants to be creative and not really work that hard and kind of just go have fun and be playful. And greens are like, no, we need to make money. You need to get this done. Come on. We've got things to do. Greens have a hard time relaxing. They're always working. They're the workaholics. So what greens need to do to stay in power, number one, so if you see a green that's blaming other people or getting judgmental or critical, then a green's out of power. If you have that green in your aura, all you need to do to get back into power is, number one, figure out what you really want. Greens are goal setters. So what are your goals? What is it that you really want in your lifetime? Then you make a list, because greens are list makers. Make a plan. You guys are the quickest, brightest planners on this planet. You're very organized and efficient when you're on. So make a plan. And then key for greens, they have to take action. As soon as a green does those things, then greens feel better. You greens usually can accomplish anything you put on a list. Now, if you've also got yellow in your aura, that can be a conflict because yellows don't like lists. So the green will write the list, and the yellow will forget it or lose it, or it'll get under scattered papers someplace in the room. So that can be an interesting conflict. So basically, those are greens. And again, you greens, type A personalities. So you guys get tight neck and shoulders, heart issues, digestive problems. You greens also have to learn how to breathe, and it's not about blaming anyone else. If you blame other people, you're giving away your power. Greens have control issues. They need to be in control. So if you're blaming other people, you're giving away your power, and that's going to make it worse. That'll eat at you, and it'll make you very unpleasant to be around, so you're not going to garner a lot of support if you're blaming or pushing other people. Greens can put walls around them and push people away. But when you're in power, you guys are just go-getters, and it's amazing to watch you get things done. Usually you can make a lot of money. So, you know, if you want 4-star hotels and traveling first class, you hang out with the green. They'll usually get it done. So then just quickly, blues, and there are blues on this call. Blues are the most loving, nurturing, emotional people on the planet. Blues come from the heart. So blues, it's all about love and spirituality. Every blue knew that there was a God ever since she was little. He or she was little. Blue song spoke to God or angels or some spiritual being. So blues are on the planet to be in service. Blues are the most emotional color on the planet. So blues watch those reach out and touch somebody commercials. Blues cry when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're angry, or sometimes just for no reason at all. But blues are here to teach love, to give love, and then blues need to learn that they are loved, because a blues life lesson is learning, I'm going to say she in this case, because most blues are women other than gay men. The only time I've seen a blue life color around a male is if he's been gay. So if you think you're married to a blue, most likely it's a sensitive tan or a yellow tan or a yellow-violet combination, because they're very much like blues. Not that I've seen everyone on the planet. So blues typically are teachers, they're counselors and therapists, or they get involved in causes and charities, or they become nurses. More nurses than doctors, oddly enough, because blues are typically the support system. So the good news about you blues, blues are the #1. Blues, violets, and indigos are all really, really psychic. So blues are intuitive, and if you guys trust your intuition, it'll always work out for you. If you don't trust it, blues always go, oh, I knew not to do that, and I did it anyway. Blues, you're the ones that you can think of somebody and the phone rings and it's them. So you learn to trust your intuition. Blues also, your greatest power as a blue is prayer. Blues know to connect with Source or God or higher power, whatever, the universe, whatever word you want to put to it, and trust your intuition. Now, another priority for a blue is love. Blues want to be in loving, monogamous, committed relationships more than anything other than their spirituality. So even as children, blues have a Cinderella complex. They always imagine being happily married. In power, blues are unconditional loving. They will give everybody 99 second chances. But however, you blues have a hard time saying no. You're the perennial volunteers. Blues feel if they say no that people will feel hurt or that somebody won't love you. And blues, #1, you want to be loved. Blues want to give love, and they want to be loved. So blues can end up being doormats because they don't know how to say no. So when blues are in power, unconditional loving, emotional, just beautiful, beautiful, heartfelt, loving souls right from your heart. When blues are out of power, blues get into victimhood, martyrdom, self-pity because blues give and give and give and give and give, and they're intuitive and they know when everybody else is unhappy, and blues tend to rescue people. You know, let me help you. I mean, do you need anything? How are you? If you walk into a blues home even, you'll hear, can I get you anything? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Are you tired? They'll wait on you. They want you to feel loved and taken care of. So because blues do that, they believe other people should be like that. And so when a blue's exhausted from giving too much and she's sad and depressed or feeling unloved and unappreciated, then blues feel very much like victims and martyrs. And so when somebody says, well, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you ask us for help? Blues will usually go, well, why didn't you just know? I know when you need something. Why didn't you know when I needed something? But you blues need to know that most of the other aura colors are not that psychic. They're not that intuitive. And they're not here to be in service the way you are. So blues, to get out of power, to get back into balance again, need to, one, trust that you need to know that blues need to learn to love themselves. And what that means is, because blues go, what do you mean love myself? I'm supposed to take a bath. I'm supposed to say no. I'm supposed to stand up for myself. Blues don't know how to love themselves. They think that sounds selfish. So what I say to blues is you only do things for two reasons. One is to give love, and the other is to be loved. And that's not a bad motive. Blues have to learn how to love themselves just as much as they love, or if not more so, than everybody else. And that's not selfish. That's not self-centered. Then if you fill up your cup can really flow over onto other people. It's not about being a sacrificer or a martyr. That can make everyone else feel guilty. That's the number one way you manipulate a blue, is either make her feel guilty, or then blues turn around and make other people feel guilty, which is out of power. And you blues don't do that because you're awful people. You do that because you're feeling unloved. So that's basically a blue. And when blues have health problems, blues, it shows up in the throat because you swallow a lot of hurt and tears, or it shows up in the breast or the reproductive system. That's where blues hold their hurt, their pain, their tears, whatever. Now, you blues, really quick, because your priority is relationships, you got to learn how to communicate with your beloved telepathically. Blues so want to bond with their emotionally with their partners. So if you have a partner and you want to bond emotionally, you definitely have to pick a partner that's available to do that. One of the problems with blues, and I am a blue, by the way, a blue, yellow, who's out of violet, and some green. Blues, we have a tendency to pick the wrong guys. We tend to pick guys that either are wounded, or girls tend to pick partners that are wounded, or they're emotionally unavailable, or, because we're rescuers. So blues need to learn how to love themselves enough so that they're healthy, so they can be in healthy partnerships. And I have a lot more information about all this on my websites. I've got podcasts. I've got books. I have written information to help you blues, but always trust your intuition and know that you're here to give love unconditionally. That's what makes you happy. So when blues get really low, if you get really depressed, blues want to just go back to God, but blues won't usually commit suicide because they don't want to hurt the people they'd be leaving behind. So go out and do loving things for other people, and that usually helps a blue, as long as you put your attention someplace else. So violets, really quickly, how are we doing, Lauren? You still there? All right, I'm just going to keep going then.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. It's fascinating.
Right now.
No, it's fascinating. I just, I'm identifying people in my life, and it really helps to clarify so much.
Good. Well, the reason I'm touching base with you now is because you have that violet and yellow. So we've already touched on your yellow. Now we're getting into the violets, and you have a lot of violets listening on your show right now.
Okay.
So violets, you guys are the visionaries here. You guys came here to help save the planet. It's that big, to educate the masses, to make a difference here. And it's so big. Typically, violets don't want to work for other people. You violets usually want to do your own projects because it's tough for you to work for short-sighted people or people that don't see the same vision as you. So violets are visionaries, and you guys process 150. What you see also seems so big that a lot of people accuse you of being unrealistic dreamers. You guys like to do projects, and you need to have a lot of freedom, and a lot of violets want to go travel. You guys are more global. You need to help the masses on some scale. Blues and yellows can help people one-on-one. Violets have to reach the masses. So I see violets getting drawn to things like the media, your performers, musicians, dancers, writers, actors, anything that uses, photographers, filmmakers, anything that uses the arts or the media to get messages out to people. You guys want to inspire people. You're here to improve the quality of life and to shift the thinking here, to raise it up. And you violets think what you see is common sense. Well, you can see this is what's coming. If they keep cutting down the rainforest, this is what's going to happen. If they keep doing, but see, most people don't see as far as violets. Violets are 150. You guys want to do something big. So the other thing that violets are drawn to are teaching and psychology. A lot of therapists are violets. A lot of teachers are violets. So you guys can read people. You can see things. So if you are a therapist, you can just be talking to somebody and really know all kinds of things about them. Remember, I told you you're also visionaries and psychic. The other thing that violets get involved in, now if you've got blue or yellow or one of the other aura colors, you're not going to like the next two that I say. But violets are drawn to politics, law, but also most violets are drawn to causes. You violets ultimately have to make a difference here. You have to feel that you're doing something to improve people's lives. Now, the challenge, when you violets are in power, you guys are the most dynamic, visionary, inspirational leaders on the planet. We have a violet-yellow president right now, which is Obama. I don't know when everyone's going to be listening to this. Clinton was a violet-yellow. John and Robert Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King. I have a dream. I have a vision. That's usually how violets talk. I see that. My dream is, my vision is, because violets come from the third eye. Blues come from the heart. Yellows come from their bodies. Violets usually talk in visual terms. So the key is, and Oprah's a violet yellow, and so is Bono, and so is George Clooney. Do you see how they're out there doing global things now? Even though they they may have started out in the entertainment business, which is common for violets, ultimately they need to do something humanitarian or charitable to make a difference here. Otherwise, violets get very self-absorbed. So when you violets are in power, you're charismatic, you're visionary, you see things, and you can get things done like little rocket ships. And when you violets are in power, you guys do more synchronicity and magic than any of the other aura colors I've ever seen. Violets can get a vision, and things just start happening for them, and people go, you got to meet who? You get to go where? How did that happen? It's almost like the universe. When you're in power and you're trusting your vision and you're moving forward in that direction, the universe supports you. Usually you violets have a lot of guides around you because you're the adventurous souls. You're the ones that want to do it big. Now, that doesn't mean the other colors don't have guides around them, because we all do, but you violets took on the extra challenges. You guys don't want to be bored here. So you take on bigger projects. You want to be the eagles and the hawks here, or the wild tigers or lions. You want to be more adventurous. So unfortunately, you also take on bigger challenges to make your wings stronger. So a lot of you violets, you've had a lot of drama. I see a lot of violets, more than any of the other aura colors, choosing to be born into dysfunctional situations, whether it was either abuse or abandonment or neglect or something going on what made it tougher for violets. And the reason that is because you violets need to have compassion. You needed to see what was going on here so you could learn from it, so you could survive it. And once you come out of it, you're very charismatic, dynamic leaders and visionaries, and people then believe you, because you don't go, here, let me tell you how to save the planet, and you were born with wealth and love and whatever. If you've suffered, then people believe you. They go, oh, well, you've been there. You know what I'm going through. Plus, you violets wanted to stay in integrity. You needed to know what it felt like so that you're not just faking it. Now, unfortunately, it's very common for violets to get stuck because you guys are the mentors and are the teachers, and it can be challenging for you to find mentors and teachers here that can show you what to do. So when violets are out of power, when you guys get stuck and you don't trust your vision, plus even from a young age, a lot of violets are told, that's not realistic. You can't do that. You need to go get a real job. You need to go be practical. And remember, a key word for violets are freedom. That's why violets are really good with projects. So if you violets don't trust your vision, you end up either, one, getting very scattered. You guys start seeing 20 different things you want to do, and then you start multitasking and you're all over the place, or you don't know which way to go next. and you get into overwhelm and scattered, and that makes a violet very unhappy. Then you can start giving up on your dream, going, well, I can't get there. How am I going to get there? So the other downside of violet, so that's one out-of-power violet, scattered, overwhelmed, multitasking, all over the place, exhausted. The other type of out-of-power violet, violets can get very impatient, bossy, arrogant, holier than thou. It's all about them. Violets can then, they either implode because it's all about them and they become unhappy, or they think they're God's gift to women or the other sex, or, you know, somebody. So a lot of famous, it's very common for violets to become famous. So you see a lot of out-of-power violets that their fame has gone to their head, and they've pretty much, I won't name names here, but we've seen a few of these lately where they've gotten out of control with their arrogance, because that's the downside of a violet. Very arrogant, self-righteous, holier than thou, and they need all the attention. So that can be a self-destructive violet then. So you got to watch out for that. If you find you're getting impatient or frustrated, because a lot of violets really get frustrated with the stupidity of humanity. So they go, well, I want to make a difference here, but I hate people. So I hear that a lot from violets, or I'm so frustrated with people. Now, that's not always, because when you violets are in power, you have a lot of compassion, a lot of vision, and that's what you violets need to do to be empowered. Number one, trust your vision. Number two, if you find yourself getting judgmental, impatient, critical of other people, you've got to realize that we're all in this together, and you're here to help those people, not to judge them. And violets, it's important for you guys to teach by example. Don't just boss everybody around. You guys are really good advice givers, but you need to listen to your own advice. When you get stuck, imagine that somebody else is coming to you with the same problem, and see what you would say to them, and listen to the words of wisdom that will come out of your mouth for them. I like to say this. You know the difference between trauma and no big deal? Trauma is when it's happening to you, and no big deal is when it's happening to someone else. So when we get our own emotional charges going on, it's really hard to see clearly which way you should go. When somebody else is going through it, it's very clear, like, well, you need to leave that job. You need to leave that relationship. What are you doing there? So just listen to your own advice on how to get there. Trust your vision. If you see 150 and it doesn't seem practical, because the number one way you stop a violet is over money and or training and education. So if you see a vision, you go, but I don't know how to get there. Well, then you're trapped. Then it's going to be like, well, I don't know how to get there. And then you're going to be trapped doing jobs you don't really like. Instead, you get your vision really clear, even if you put up a vision board, because violets are very visual. And then you take steps 1 and 2 in that direction, and 3, 4, and 5 will show themselves. Just have to keep heading in that direction. Be around people that are doing what you want to do. That's helpful for a violet. Again, I have a lot of information and podcasts and guidance specifically for each one of the aura colors. Big stuff in there about violets and their careers. And I'm getting to all of the aura colors on my site, so be patient with that. So that's a violet. So number one, trust your vision. Number two, it's very important for you violets to meditate. Very important for you violets to meditate. You have to have alone time, and I don't mean you have to sit in a corner and ohm. You have to have alone time so you can get in touch with your vision and start taking action on it, okay, so that you're connected with your heart, your soul, your higher self, and your vision. Number two, being around people that are also doing it helps you. Being around mentors, or at least studying mentors, their stories about how they overcame the odds. Music is very important to violets, but it has to be empowering, inspiring music, or calming and centering music. Otherwise, silence is really good for you violets. Deepak Chopra also has a lot of violet. He's a violet yellow with a lot of green. That's all that intelligence in him, too. So that's a violet. Again, I have more on my site. Lavenders. Lavenders are very sensitive, creative beings. A lot of lavenders get accused of being very, not in their bodies very much. Lavenders can be very fantasy-oriented. You guys are so sweet. You're so gentle and sensitive and childlike. Lavenders need very quiet, sensitive environments similar to crystals, but you guys like your creativity. The problem with a lot of lavenders is they don't always stay in their bodies long enough to get anything done. They tend to daydream a lot. A lot of lavenders talk about angels and fairies, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's why you guys are here, is to give us an idea of the other realms. C.S. Lewis who wrote Chronicles of Narnia, and Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland, they both had some lavender in their auras. So you see how they went into other realities. They went into fantasy worlds. Well, not fantasy worlds. They probably really exist. They're supposed to go into other realities and then bring that information back to us so that we can keep open-minded about other realms that are there. So the thing is, though, is lavenders are not usually good with money. They don't care about money, but similar to you yellows, so you want to know which one is which. Usually if you're talking to a lavender, when you look in their eyes, you can't always tell that anyone's home. They tend to get a little spacey when they're out of power. When you lavenders are in power, very creative, very gentle, very sensitive. You create beautiful works of art, beautiful stories, beautiful, it's just, you know, just designs and creativity. It's amazing to be around you guys. But when lavenders are out of power, you escape out of your bodies a lot, then you get ungrounded and flaky and irresponsible. And most lavenders do best if they've got some sort of trust fund or they get an inheritance, because lavenders really do not like working unless it's something creative. So I can see you guys working with children, or I see lavenders in working with flowers and plant shops or things like that. So the reason I'm rushing through this is most of you on the phone right now are not lavenders. So you may know somebody with lavenders in there. Again, fairies, fairy tales and imagination and creativities and storytellers and just youthful, very fantasy-oriented souls. Crystals, now a lot of you will think you're crystals, and you may be. There may actually be some crystals listening here because I'm running into more and more crystals. But make sure you're not just one of the sensitive, creative, quiet, healing yellows. Crystals actually have a clear aura. You guys are the auric chameleons, and what you're here to do is to be the actual healers on the planet. You're here to allow universal energy or cosmic energy to come through your bodies, channel through it to heal people. But you need a lot of quiet. Crystals have a real hard time being around a lot of people. Most crystals are very intelligent, very cultured. They like to read. They like quiet. I see crystals doing everything from working in libraries to doctors' offices to doing research where they can just be alone and quiet. Writers. The clear aura of a crystal is awesome if you guys keep it clear, but you do need a lot of meditation time and quiet. Crystals can't be around a lot of people or it blows you guys out, because what happens with crystals is they tend to take on, when they're out of power, you tend to take on the aura colors of other people around you. So this is why it's challenging to do a reading for a crystal, because they're like auric chameleons. So I could be looking at a crystal, but they've added so much blue in their aura or so much green in their aura that I think they're a blue or a green, unless I'm really working with them one-on-one, and then I can start seeing the real crystal emerge instead of what they think they were supposed to be. So when crystals start doing that, they can be very fragmented, very scattered. When crystals are out of power, they really don't like it here. They don't know why they're on the planet now. You violets feel that way too. Violets go, I don't want to come back to this planet anymore. It's too hard here. It's too dense. But crystals, they feel like they don't belong here, like they, well, sort of violets. So the difference is violets want to make a difference. They really want to reach the masses, and crystals don't care about reaching the masses. They just want to be quiet, one-on-one, sanctuary, harmony, very cultured, very educated. Usually I see crystals, if they go out, they just want to listen to a string quartet or go to the library or go to a very beautiful, quiet garden restaurant or to a quiet gallery where there's not a big crowd of people. So you crystals really value quiet. Now again, yellows need that quiet, so do violets, so this can be a little tricky, but you'll know if you read or really listen to the recordings that I have about these colors, and I've got videos too. I've got lots of videos on YouTube and especially on my site. I've got very in-depth videos about each one of these colors, much more in-depth than what I'm being able to cover here, but we're covering it pretty well, right? We've got a lot. And then we've got the indigos. That's the last aura color. Indigos are the New Age children. They tend to be very psychic. Now, the only real famous indigo I've known so far has been Michael Jackson. Indigos are very androgynous typically. Now, a lot of you are adding indigo in your outer bands right now, so you're going to start relating to the indigos. I have a lot of violets who believe that they are indigos because they've added the indigo in their outer bands right now. Most indigos are younger right now, a lot of indigo children, and they're being diagnosed, a lot of them, as autistic. So indigos, number one, very psychic. Usually an indigo child remembers their other lives and can recount in detail. They can read their parents' minds. They are very adept at technology. They can pick up a computer and just like, you know, it's first nature or second nature. So you may have some nephews or nieces or a grandchild or something that's one of these indigos. The good news about indigos, where violets are here to help transform the planet and really bring on the new consciousness, indigos are the ones that are supposed to be showing us how to live that. They're the example. And one of the reasons that indigos are very androgynous, it's hard to tell if they're male or female, gay or straight. They're here to show us that it's not about a sexual preference or a sexual identity. Indigos tend to connect with people soul to soul. So they can be androgynous, they can be bisexual. Their sexuality is not important to them. It's more about connecting one-on-one, soul to soul with people, usually in a quiet way. Now, Michael Jackson had indigo and violet, which is why he was so much out in the public eye, that violet performer in there. But he was an indigo, which is, we heard many times from people saying if you looked in Michael Jackson's eyes, he looked like he was from another planet. And most indigos that I've seen are incredibly beautiful. I mean, they do look like they're from another realm, just very beautiful. So psychic, technology, other lives. Now, the downside of indigos, they're having a really rough time here right now because indigos only go by their spiritual and philosophical and moral beliefs. You cannot control them with guilt, with punishment, with manipulation. So a lot of parents are having trouble with their indigo children right now. They don't know how to raise indigos. Indigos won't talk unless they want to talk. So many of them don't start talking until they're 5 or 7 years old, and of course then the authorities believe there's something wrong with this child. So a lot of indigos can be put on medication or like I said, diagnosed as autistic, being put in institutions. Their behavior when they're out of power can be incredibly irrational, very out of control. They can be self-destructive because what they feel on the planet right now doesn't fit with what they know is supposed to be happening right now. They can connect with animals, with children, with the environment. They're very psychic. And when they see poverty and starvation and death and destruction and wars and cruelty, it absolutely goes against what an indigo believes is supposed to be happening here because they're highly, highly spiritual. So that is an indigo, and again, some of you relate to the indigo qualities. You may have that indigo in your outer bands now. Very rare for me to actually encounter an indigo, even though more and more of them are showing up on the planet. So, and then just the last thing really quick, a red overlay. That's not a life color, but there are a lot of people on the planet that have red overlays. It's not something someone is born with unless they had some sort of traumatic episode when they were in uterus. But people are not born with red overlays. They put it around in their outer bands, usually as children, for protection. Now, some of you listening may relate to this red overlay. People who either felt physically, mentally, or emotionally abandoned, rejected, or abused, or you had a life-threatening situation where you almost died, almost drowned, or had a difficult birth, whatever. They put on red for protection, but what it turned, which is smart to do as a child because red is it's a denser color. It keeps people grounded here. It's more physical, so it kept you safe. Unfortunately, what a red overlay turns into is either a lot of anger or it turns into very serious self-sabotage. And then you're always feeling like things aren't working out for you, and you feel like you're trying to punch your way out of a cage or out of a box, and things keep getting sabotaged. That doesn't work. John Lennon had a red overlay, and you saw the anger that showed up with him. Richard Pryor, Rosie O'Donnell, Roseanne Barr, they all have red overlays. And now the thing is it was smart to put on as a child, but as an adult, then it can turn, and even with some of the children, it can become life-threatening. And this is not to scare people. That means you need to get rid of the red overlay. because it will trap you. It's somebody saying, life isn't safe here, I don't trust the world, so I don't want to be here. And it can actually turn into a life-threatening situation. So red overlays, there are 3 ways to get a red off that I know of. Number 1 is to visualize erasing it. That only works if you feel safe here. Number 2 is to rewrite your past in your imagination, and that can include everything from imagining yourself now going and talking to you as a child and protecting him or her from the abuse, or help, hug that person, hug you as a child, say you're safe, you're beautiful, you're not abandoned, I'm here for you, or protect them from the abusing adult. Or the 3rd way to get a red overlay, or you can rewrite your past by having an imaginary or a telepathic conversation with the adults that caused the problem so that you can solve it. Instead of putting on a red overlay for protection, you start talking to them. Again, much more in depth than we have time for here. The 3rd way to get a red overlay off is therapy. That works for most of the aura colors except for you violets have a hard time going to therapists because you usually know more than the therapist. So if they don't get on with it, you either get bored or you can talk circles around them. So you either do your own therapy by the 2nd choice that I told you about, rewriting your past in your imagination, or you have to find a therapist that's really good, really intuitive, can really get in there and help you get it out of there. So those are the aura colors and the red overlay, Lauren.
Wow.
Would you like to take questions now before?
It's interesting because, I think, do most of us on the, it just, we are sitting here taking notes furiously and just writing this all down. It's really fantastic information. I find that as I'm writing down some of the notes that I'm actually putting names of people, and it's really helping me identify, like with my mother, and it just helps to explain a lot. And the red overlay, this is a personal question. I know I put that on as a child, and just this past year, I recognized that I had this abandoned, this inner child work to do. Did I clear it up for the most part?
For the most part, yes, Lauren. You still have a little bit there. It looks like a little bit of a faded red still in there. That just means you have a few little questions still to do, like, can I trust me? Am I safe here? Can I really do what I came here to do?
Okay.
Okay, that's the part that's still there. And when I talk about a red overlay, you can't force somebody to forgive an abusive or an abandoning adult, right? But once a person really understands what really happened with that person, why they were the way they were, then we start, forgiveness is kind of a natural result of what happens once we get it, once we understand what was happening. Okay. Oh, and I love that you said you're starting to identify other people, because that's the reason I do this, one, to give people permission to be who they really are and validate who you are. This is who you really came here to be. It's good for you to be who you are. It's okay. Matter of fact, you're going to be bummed if you don't live who you are. And also to help us get along with other people. Instead of wondering why people can't think more like us or behave more like us, it's like you go, oh, well, you're a lavender, or you're a tan, or you're a violet. I get it. Okay, I understand. And then we allow everyone to live their true purpose here by being their authentic selves.
Yes, it makes such perfect sense. So does anyone, as we move on, we've got about 45 minutes left. That was really fascinating. Everyone is going to get this as a recording, so if you missed some of that information, go ahead and just get the download and listen to it again and take notes. Because I'm sure that all of us today could recognize ourselves. You said that most of us are violets on this call, and we can certainly see with those traits that you explained how that can be. So everyone get busy and make your vision board, and together, wow, this is going to be a wonderful new earth. And it really does validate with the indigo. I see that in my son just a little bit. Not much, but it's just really interesting. And then just how we can allow people to be who they really are without judging and blaming or being critical. It's wonderful.
Right, right. And I have a lot more information on my site and in my books. I've even got Love Colors talks all about relationships and who's compatible and what each color needs to be happy and how you can be in a relationship with those aura colors. So I have a ton of information, so if people weren't able to write down notes fast, and that's only the tip of the iceberg of what I know about each of these colors. So there is a lot more information.
Great. Well, at this time, let's move on to if there's no one that has their hand raised or you can send a question, let's move on to we want to make sure we have plenty of time for the parallel universes. So we'll take time to do that now and come back with any other questions afterwards. So thank you.
Cool. Okay, good. Now, this is one of the things I believe, well, we can tell that there's some sort of consciousness evolution going on. We're evolving as beings. It's definitely happening. And I love studying quantum physics because the fact that I'm psychic and I can see auras and I can bend spoons with my mind and I've been able to go in and out of parallel universes shows me that there's more to our consciousness and who we are as beings than we've been taught. So one of the things that I like to do is share with people how we can change our lives effortlessly because we've so gotten used to struggling with everything. The consciousness on this planet has been all about hard work and struggle. And I'm just going to lay this foundation really quick, and then before I get into parallel universes, I like Deepak Chopra talks about how 5 different levels of consciousness of manifesting, and this touches. I can lead into parallel universes with this. Most of us have been operating out of level 1 consciousness, which is, let's say you have the desire to have ice cream, and level 1, you have to go out, get a job, work really hard, earn the money, then get in your car, drive to the ice cream place, give them your hard-earned money, and then you get ice cream, right? That's level 1. Level 2 is you have the desire for ice cream, and one of your friends just happens to stop by right then and goes, oh, I was just in the neighborhood and I just came back from the store and oh, I bought ice cream. Do you want to have some with me? It's like, whoa. Now we've all had those experiences. That's level 2. Level 3, energy of manifesting, state of consciousness, is you have the desire for ice cream and you go to the freezer and you open up your freezer and it's there and you go, wow, I don't remember buying ice cream, but there it is. And I'm pretty sure I have had those experiences. I'm sure most people on this call have had that at least once or twice where, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had money in there. Oh, look at that. I didn't know that was there. Level 4 is having the desire for ice cream. You open up your hand and it's there. I'm assuming most of us on this call have not achieved that level yet. And then level 5, we've come from level 5, so most of us don't want to go back to level 5 at this point, although I can't speak for everyone on the call. Level 5 is you have the desire for ice cream, and then you realize you and the ice cream are one. So, but most of us came to the planet so we could actually experience eating ice cream or whatever, you want to have. It tastes good, I like it. So in level 1, which is most of us where we've been, it's classical physics, which basically says everything's separate, there's only one reality, and you have to work really hard to make anything change here. Well, quantum physics is saying a whole different thing about physical reality, and we're not living it. And one of the things that quantum physics is saying is they have evidence, and so do I now because I've done it, that parallel universes actually exist. So without going in, if you want to read more about it, you can read about the double slit experiment, why they know there are other universes. But bottom line for us, what this means is, if, let's say, you're walking down the street and you pass by a restaurant and go, oh, I would love to go in there and have something to drink. Oh, well, I don't have time. I've got to get to this meeting, and you keep walking. Well, an actual you, a real authentic you, split off and went into that restaurant and got something to drink and is having a completely unique and separate life from you, and it's still a you. So for every time that you made a choice, I don't care if it's what you're wearing today, you wore white instead of, you thought you'd put on blue today. There's one wearing white of you today, and there's another you wearing blue today, and having a completely different life right now. Now, I know this sounds like science fiction, but, a lot of stuff that used to sound like science fiction is now science fact. I mean, just, flight and going to the moon and cell phones. I mean, all that Star Trek stuff. We have so much of that technology now. So the reason I know this is true is because I've done it to change my life. So first thing you need to know is there is not just one reality. You're in a specific universe because you believe in that one. And the thing is there are parallel universes going on all around you as close as your breath, and you don't know that because you don't know they exist. You don't believe in that one. You believe in the one you're focused on now. So you don't know that you could shift over and align with another you in another universe very easily. Now, some of them are just, simple, subtle little things like wearing something different today, and some of them are dramatically different because way back when you were in high school, you made a choice to go right instead of left, and that you still exists, and you could connect with that you very easily. So let me just show this. The reason you can't see that they're there, again, is it's all energy and you don't believe in it, but I like to use the analogy of a radio station. I mean a radio wave. You know that there are radio shows broadcasting music or talk, whatever, all around you right now. The radio signals are in your room. They're around you. You're not detecting them because you're not tuned into them, so you don't know they exist right now. If you went to your radio tuner, turned on your radio, and you turned it on like 98.9 or something, you're going to hear the sounds, the music, the show that is being broadcast out of that number, and that becomes your reality. If you adjust the frequency, because everything's frequency, and radio waves are frequency, and so are we. We're energetic beings. We have frequencies to us. If you adjust the frequency to, say, 106, now you're going to hear the music or the talk that's coming out of that station. And 98.9 is still going on around you, but you're not hearing it right now because you're not tuned into that frequency. This is the way that parallel universes work. So I'm going to give an example. So the way you go into different universes, it's your imagination, it's your thoughts, it's your belief, and big time it's the emotions, because your emotional energy has a frequency to it. Emotions have an electric current. There's a frequency that goes with it. Your thoughts have an energy, and so do your emotions. Emotion is energy in motion. So this is how I used it, just to give you an example. Where do I start with that? Okay, so years and years ago, I'm a blue yellow, and I told you how we blues value love. I totally fell head over heels in love with this guy, really wanted to be with him. He didn't want to have anything to do with me. I'm a blonde. He wasn't attracted to blondes. He's a musician, wants his freedom, didn't want to commit to anybody, no, wasn't interested, blah, blah, blah. So in that, and then he said, I'm moving. I live in the on the West Coast in Santa Barbara. He said, I'm moving to the East Coast. I'm not ever going to see you again. Leave me alone. Not into it. And actually, he was kind of cruel when he said it too. So I noticed that when I went, oh, wait a second, parallel universes. Now, he had gone for 2 years before I really started learning about the power of parallel universes. On the East Coast, had not talked to him, had not contacted him, had never heard from him, but I was still in love with him. I kept feeling that if I loved him that much, there had to be a reason for that, and I should be able to be with him. Now, I noticed that in Universe 1, which is the one I was in, I'm going to number them so it's easier to talk about. Universe 1, I noticed that my belief was that I wasn't attractive, I wasn't good enough for him. He didn't love me because I wasn't lovable, and that he wanted someone with dark hair. Those were my beliefs, and my emotions fit with that. I noticed that my emotions were sad, depressed, hopeless. Okay, now, if parallel universes really are real, that means that there are infinite number of universes, you guys, infinite. There are everything that could ever happen is happening now simultaneously. So in one war, Hitler won the war. In another one, you're not living in wherever you're living right now. You're living in a completely different town or a different state. So for everything that could ever happen, and one of them, dinosaurs are roaming the earth along with man. So infinite number of universes that exist. Everything that could be imagined or thought of exists. So I went, well, if that's the case, then at least one universe, we're happily together. He's in love with me. We're happy. We do everything together. It's awesome. So what I did was I believed that that was the case. And so I sat on my deck and did a meditation where I saw myself. I did a visual. Now, you can do it a different way. It has to do with your imagination and your emotions. So what I did was imagine opening up this like membrane or like this curtain. I parted it and walked into it, universe number 2. And I looked around and went, no, I see that he's on the East Coast loving the band that he's playing with. I'd feel guilty taking him away from that because he looks really happy, so this isn't the universe I want to stay in. I noticed I was feeling guilty thinking that I was going to pull him out of where he was happy. So I did it again. I parted a membrane, and I went into universe 3, and it still wasn't quite right. I looked around and went, well, it's getting closer, but this isn't it. At least we're talking, but this is not the right one. I went into what I called universe number 5. I opened up the membrane and I stepped into it. I felt myself, and I knew it was real. I felt this new world, and since I know it's all imagination, it's all energy, and it's all our consciousness, I knew that this world existed, kind of like Alice in Wonderland, but I knew this one was real. So I looked around, I felt myself in it, and in this one I was observing this guy. I saw him breaking up with the band that he was in, leaving them, giving them notice. I saw him breaking up with whatever girl he was hanging out at the time because she was too young or it wasn't right. I saw him tell me that he was going to go to Iowa to see his meditating friends. Then he was going to go to Los Angeles to see his rock and roll friends. And then he was coming back to Santa Barbara, which is exactly what he did, and we have been together ever since. And it's been 29 years now. So we're hanging together. He's totally in love with me. And the reason, and I didn't manipulate him. I didn't have to control him. If you think you have to manipulate or control someone, you're in the universe where you believe that you have to do that. I didn't believe I had to do that. When I was in universe 5, I felt lovable. I felt that someone wanted to be with me. I felt that this guy wanted to be with me and that he actually really loved me and that we were compatible and that we got along and that we had fun. I felt it in the core of my being. I felt it emotionally. So I shifted. And what I did was I stepped out of universe 1. I didn't have to overcome anything because that's going back to consciousness level 1 where you have to work really hard to make something happen. I don't have to make anything happen. I just need to go into a universe where it's already there and align my thinking, my imagination, and my emotions with that universe, with that frequency, which is what I did. So I didn't have to overcome anything in universe 1. I stepped out of it, almost like just dropping clothes on the ground. I just stepped out of those pants. I just stepped out of that outfit and went into another one where everything was already there. And I felt it, and it actually was real. And I've done this many, many, many times with other things in my life. The key is using your imagination and aligning your emotions. That when your imagination is really strong, it stimulates your emotions. And that's what changed me into another frequency, like a radio station. I adjusted my frequency to another dial, and that's the music, and that's the talk that now became part of my reality. So that's how you change into parallel universes. Now, number 1, you have to know that they exist. We've been taught there's only one reality, and that's not the truth. And quantum physics is saying that's not the truth. But we still hold on to the old belief that there's only one. And the reason we do that, just so you know, because if we go, well, how come I can't see it? How come it only looks like there's one? Because we have trained our 5 physical senses to perceive physical reality as only one thing. We've trained them, and it's not the truth. So we can't count on our 5 physical senses to give us the truth about reality. Let's look at this. Our 5 physical senses would tell us that the earth was flat, that it doesn't move, that the sun comes up and goes around us, that an airplane up in the sky is only an inch long. How could 200 people be sitting in that? So our 5 physical senses deceive us all the time. At what point can we count on our 5 physical senses to give us the truth about reality? So the fact that I've done this before, and it's worked many, many times, this is just the most dramatic of all of them. I've gotten on national radio shows that people said, oh, it's impossible for you to get on that. I got on it because I saw myself there. I went into the universe where they already contacted me and asked me to be on. Same way I got on a national TV show just now. I saw myself on it, and I didn't believe in the one where it wasn't possible. I believed in the one that it was already happening. So it has everything to do with your beliefs, your imagination, your emotions. So That's why Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge, because what we think we know can limit us. Your imagination can create anything. That's how we create everything. So that's how you do it. You imagine where you really want to be, the world you really want to live. So number one, you have to believe that that's the truth, that there is not just one reality. Number two, you have to be willing to be still enough to use your imagination in a powerful way to see or feel yourself shifting your vibration and going into that other universe. And then notice your emotions, because your emotions, if you're really in that other universe where love is in your life, or abundance is in your life, or success is in your life, or health is in your life, you have to feel it in your body and your emotions. You have to really feel it, and that's what sends out, that's the vibration, that's the frequency. So that's what I know about, Lauren, about parallel universes, and people can ask questions, or we can do the meditation to do it, but basically that's how we change our reality. And by the way, we do it all the time. You are going in and out of different universes all the time. However, they're seamless. They don't have like walls on them. They don't have doors on them. They're seamless, so you think it's just one continuous reality. But every time you shift an emotion, or you shift your decisions, or you shift your imagination, you're actually in another one. And some of them can be very subtle, so they're hard to tell. But I'm sure all of you have had the experience where you're driving someplace or walking someplace, and all of a sudden it feels unfamiliar. Or you look at something and you feel like you're looking at it for the first time. You go, wow, I didn't notice that was the pattern on that. You actually shifted into another universe. You just think it's the same one. So, Loren, what questions would you have, or where would you like to go with this?
It's fascinating because I can see how we can just do this with everything in our life, and it corroborates with what we have been told by some great spiritual teachers to go within, even Einstein with the imagination. So we do create our own universe. And
That's it.
yeah.
And people have done spontaneous healings by doing that. They just stopped believing that they just felt that either they prayed and they got healed, or they actually just went into another universe where they didn't have the illness. And so it looks like spontaneous healing to people. I mean, Anita Moorjani just did that. She wrote a book called Dying to Be Me, where she had a near-death experience, and she came back, and within days, the cancer that was throughout her entire body so badly that it shut down all her organs, and she died. All her organs shut down. She went into a coma. She died. When she came back from her near-death experience, within days, she didn't have one cell of cancer in her body. She went into a different reality and believed different things when she came back. She totally believed different things, and it showed up. So it's amazing how magical and how amazing life really is. And this is the thing that amazes me. Quantum physics is validating that this is all the truth about reality, that quantum physics is validating what spirituality has been saying, what spiritual teachers and masters have been saying for centuries. And we're not living it. We're still living that old paradigm of Newtonian physics or classical physics, which says that everything is a big old biological biomachine, and it's cause and effect, and we're all separate, and you can't make a difference on things like that. There's no such thing as psychic. I mean, it's so old paradigm, and we're still operating out of that belief system.
Well, I love how we can do this just by being willing enough. Well, first, believing. I know that everyone on this call really, really wants to believe, so all we have to do is decide to believe, because as you just said, quantum physics is proving spirituality. And then the imagination to go in there and feel it. So when you're doing this process, you're just dreaming. You're dreaming the world awake, dreaming the world into creation.
That's it. Well, that's it. Well, that's what quantum physics is saying, that when they look, if you look at this, I mean, E equals mc squared, that says mass is energy, matter is energy. And they look at, they can look at your body under a microscope, and they see, cells. They go into the cell. They see a lot of atoms and a lot of space. They go into the atom, and there's nothing solid about the atom. It's subatomic particles and a lot of space. Every time they go into anything physical, they're not finding anything physical. You guys, that's profound. basically saying everything's energy. And if you, without getting too technical on people right now, if you study Heisenberg's uncertainty principle or Schrodinger's cat, I'm sure you've heard of those things, but basically what they're saying is, in their experiments, they've discovered that not only is consciousness or an observer affecting the outcome of the experiments or affecting reality, now they're believing that consciousness is actually creating reality, that nothing happens until a person actually focuses their attention on it. And then with this sea of, what do they call it, the unified field, that it's all just energy. It's a field of all possibilities. And then when somebody focuses their attention on it, particles blink into existence. They come out of nowhere into something. Let there be light, it blinks into existence. So our consciousness is actually creating. And that's what we really need to get. If we really got that it was all energy, we wouldn't be getting sick. We wouldn't be dying. We wouldn't be aging. We wouldn't be overweight. There wouldn't be scarcity. There wouldn't be poverty. There wouldn't be illness. There wouldn't be wars. There wouldn't be any of this if we really got that there's infinite universes and that we create our own reality with our consciousness.
Very cool. We have a question. Julie asks, if I go to another universe, will I abandon the people in this one who may need me?
No, they're all in that one too. They're just different versions of them. Okay, so watch. The guy that I was in love with in Universe 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, he still exists in all of those. He's just, it's like, and he exists in number 5, so they don't go away. They all still are there. They just may shift a little bit. Well, I love that question because watch this. In Universe 1, when I was single and I really wanted to be with this guy, all my girlfriends were single and complaining that there was nobody to love. I can't find a good guy. They were all single. When I went into Universe 5, every single one of those girlfriends then had a boyfriend or they were engaged. It was like, oh my gosh, but they were all still there, just their circumstances were different too because I moved into a universe where love was the norm, not the struggle. So yes, they're all still there.
Okay, and then earlier you talked about level 1, level 2, level 3, 4, 5. Would that be the same as the universe 1, 2?
No, that's different. That's different. So I probably shouldn't have. I should have labeled the universes A, B, C, D, okay, other than those are limited because we only have 26 letters to the alphabet or however many there are now. I don't know. It's been too long. But, no, level 5, the different levels of consciousness was that Deepak talks about, the different states of awareness. When I talk about universe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are literally different universes. I mean, there's infinite number. I could have used universe number 21 or number 25 or number 55. That's different than the levels of consciousness in levels of degree of difficulty manifesting. So, yeah, but you see how we just have to believe it. So, and by the way, all the people, if she goes into another universe and goes, well, what about all those people, that need me? You know what? When she goes into this different universe, those people might still love her. They might want to be there, but maybe they don't need her that way. Maybe they're not having problems. Maybe they're not suffering or struggling. Maybe they're all happy and healthy and alive. And then, of course, then we got to ask the person, well, did you need to be needed? Are you afraid to go in that universe because you've gotten used to seeing how it feels to be needed?
Really?
You see how our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions can affect, they do affect what universe we're in.
Thoughts, beliefs, and emotions.
Yeah, and we're very convincing creators. We're very convincing writers, directors, producers, and actors in our own play. That's what Shakespeare even said. All the world's a stage, and we're all actors. We're creating our own plays all the time. We just think there's only one. But it's so cool to be able to do this because you don't have to get anybody else to cooperate with you. You don't have to try to get some husband or boyfriend or child or parent to change. When you change your beliefs about who they are and about how life is or how your interaction with them or your relationship with them, and you go into a different universe, they're there, but they're different. And you didn't force them to do that. You didn't control them. They are in Universe 5 out of choice. This guy still exists in Universe 1. I didn't do anything with him. His choice in Universe 1 was to not be with me. In Universe 5, His choice was to be with me. He was in love with me, so he chose to be with me, chooses to be with me in Universe 5.
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of people who have requested to experience a meditation of this process. So, and then there's another, someone has said, my sister has AIDS, and can we go to another universe where she's well, my parents are well and alive, and I'm living with the love of my life. So that is an example. As a group meditation, it might be challenging to, do a meditation, but let's give it a shot and do it as...
Are you still there? Did we lose you?
Oh, did you hear me okay?
Oh, there you are. Now I hear you. Now I hear you.
Oh, I hope everyone could have heard me just then. I'll repeat myself quickly. The couple of people have requested that we do an experience of a meditation for an example. And another person says, my sister has AIDS, so we can go, does this mean we can go to a universe where she's well, my parents are well and alive, and I'm living with the love of my life? So if we could do, I know with the group meditation it might be challenging to, everyone's got different imaginations, but maybe an example of such.
Right, and let me explain to her question. And if you want to read about this too, David Deutsch, like Deutsch and like German, David Deutsch has written a whole bunch of things. He's actually a quantum physicist. Now, he's not spiritual, but he even says that in one universe somebody could be dead, and in another universe they're very much alive. And I did that actually with my cat. I swear I brought my cat back to life and had another year with him by going into the universe where he was still alive. So, yes, your parents already are still alive in other universes. That's why I can talk to them. I mean, we may call it another dimension, or on the other side, or through the veil, or in heaven, or whatever, but they're just in another universe, so they are still alive. It's just you don't have to die to be able to see them again. It's very complicated because it stretches our beliefs. Absolutely, your sister, you can be in a universe where your sister does not have AIDS. I'm going to recommend people read Anita Moorjani's book, I'm Dying to Be Me. Now, she doesn't perceive it that it was another universe, but she died and she came back, and lots of people are doing that. So, and she had cancer, and now she doesn't have cancer. I've got clients that had AIDS, and now they don't have AIDS. I mean, there's not even a trace of it in their body. So it's very possible. The key is not changing your sister. You have to change your belief and be in a universe where you believe that your sister is free from AIDS. You absolutely have to believe it, know that that's the real one. And by the way, you go, yeah, but what about in the other one that I'm in now where she's got AIDS? Is she going to die in this one? Most likely. There's probably a bunch of them where she died when she was a year old or when she was 10 years old. So her soul still exists no matter which universe she's in. We're multidimensional, infinite beings, and you get to play in the one that you believe in. Not the one that you think, well, I don't have any say over it, I'm a victim of this, and this is what I have to put up with. But it's very challenging to change beliefs when we've been indoctrinated so much that this is the truth about reality, and when people die, that's it. Or people go, well, I know that when they die, they're on the other side, they still exist, but I can't see them physically here. That still has everything to do with how we've been indoctrinated with our beliefs. I don't believe that I don't believe we're supposed to be dying. And I know infinitely we don't, but we still put on the show or the play that we die. So anyway, now, would you like to do a meditation then? Are you there?
Yes. That would be, no, that would be
there
wonderful.
You are. Okay.
Yeah, I put myself on mute in case so there's a few more questions. After imagining this dimension, does that mean we will see it in this reality?
Yes. You guys, really, this is a key phrase to really get. If you really get this, two things. One, there is not just one reality. There are infinite number of realities, and we are infinite beings playing in all of them. We just think we're only focused in one. Okay? Just like if you went into an electronic store and there were like 50 TV sets going on and they're all on a different station, you can go and focus on one TV station and really get lost in that movie. But there's another one going on right next to you and another one going on just next to that. but they're all simultaneously, they're still happening. So there is not one reality, just like there's not one TV show going on out there or radio show. They're infinite number, okay? So I forgot what the question was now. So number one, we're infinite beings, and there's infinite realities going on. There's not one reality. Number two, everything is energy and consciousness. And our consciousness, our souls, our consciousness gets to create anything we want out of that energy field. It takes the form that we imagine. It takes the form that we believe in. Okay? And if you imagine it enough, it becomes physical reality. If you really believe it, it has everything to do with the frequency of your emotions. If you go, well, it's like affirmations. Okay, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy. If you don't believe it, it's either not going to happen or it's going to take a really long time. But if I were to say to you, if you were to say, oh, I can get in my car and drive, so you believe that. So that's a reality for you. And because you believe it, you experience it. And that's how it works. We've been taught just the opposite. You know, the old, I'll see it when I believe it. And, you know, that's the way it is now. I'll see it when I believe it as opposed to I'll believe it when I see it. That's old consciousness. Okay? What other question?
Yeah, and so Julie asked a question. If I choose a universe where different choices would have changed events, say the birth of a child, would that child still exist?
Well, it depends on which one you believe in. If you believe that you still have that child, of course, that child still exists probably in like a bazillion realities, infinite number of realities, right? You just go into the one where that child still exists. You don't have to go into the one that child never existed or you never gave birth to it. You have free will. You have free will. You can choose any of them. Now, the thing I want to say, too, you guys, I know this sounds like science fiction. I know we're stretching our minds, but everything that we have right now used to be science fiction. I mean, my gosh, automobiles, you know, airplanes, they're doing teleportation, just our cell phones. Oh, my gosh, that's like total science fiction way back when. So, and we just take that for granted, but cell phones are basically off of quantum physics. It's the same technology. We're just not using it with ourselves. I know it sounds like science fiction, but it really is science fact. Most people just don't know that it's science fact, so they're not using it. It's like we're still crawling. It's like, yeah, but, you know, you could get up and walk. No, everybody else is crawling. That's reality. We all just crawl. Well, there's a bunch of us now going, no, not only can we walk, but now they're starting to talk about, I mean, geez, you really look at quantum physics. They're challenging. They don't know what gravity is. We believe in gravity, so we're all experiencing it. But, you know, way back when, people actually used to levitate and fly. St. Francis of Assisi, there's all kinds of reports of people back then flying. Not with airplanes, levitating and flying. But see, we stopped believing in it. So we don't do it now.
We stopped
Trippy, huh?
believing in it. Yes, it's really trippy, as you said. So Melissa has a question. How did your boyfriend experience his feelings for you in the time prior to the day you did that meditation? Was it a sudden change of heart in his experience, or did it feel like he always had those feelings of missing you?
Well, see, each one of these universes has its own past, okay? So when I say to him, when I discuss things that he did in Universe 1, like I said, well, remember that time where you said blah, 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 and it wasn't very nice? He goes, I never said that. He totally has. In Universe 5, he's got a different memory of what happened because the past is actually different in Universe 5. I just took a shortcut over there. And Universe 5 was happening all along. Right? So his feelings in Universe 5 didn't really change. They evolved, but he thought he was on that trajectory anyway. Like, I never said that. And I go, no, you always told me you didn't like blondes. He goes, well, no, I know I didn't really like blondes, but I didn't say I didn't like you. It's like, whoa. So have you seen the movie Frequency?
No. Frequency.
Okay, these are movies that talk about parallel universes. They're versions of parallel universes. Number one is Frequency. It's an older movie. The other one is Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeves. And another one is Sliding Doors. And those all basically are movies about parallel universes.
Okay, very good. We just have to believe it. Yes. Okay. And when
Well,
we
believe it, and the emotional energy. I mean, the emotions that go along when you really know you absolutely know and believe something. Like you know you can stand up right now and walk to the door. You just know that, right? Or you know that you can get in your car and drive. Most of you listening right now believe that you know that you can stand up, go outside, get in your car and drive, right? Well, what if you had the belief that you really couldn't drive? You'd sit there and go, I don't think I can, or you'd be terrified of it. So it's a believing to the point where you absolutely know it, where you believe it's a reality. And that was the advantage that I had, is I absolutely know that parallel universes exist. I know it. I just know it. So it wasn't hard for me to go into another universe because I know that they exist.
I did a little test after we spoke in our healing conversation, and I did it with my husband. It's interesting because he's a tan. He's a sensitive tan, and he doesn't need to have. I mean, he's happy with the Subaru that he owns, and it's paid for and everything. He doesn't need to be showy with his car or anything. Where me, it's like, well, why? It's an extension of yourself. Why don't you drive something nice? So I pictured him. I went in, I did that meditation, just got quiet and felt and saw him in a new car. 2 weeks later, he had a new car.
See how that works? And again, a lot of what stops people is they go, yeah, but he has free will. You couldn't take away his free will. And they go, no, what happened, sweetie, is you didn't change him in universe 1. You went into another universe where he wanted that new car. You didn't manipulate him. And if you think you have to control or manipulate someone, you're still in the universe where you're believing that there's a problem. Does that make sense?
It does. It really does. So here's another question. Can my spouse, this is from a listener, can my spouse have different memories of events that I remember that we shared because he went out of a universe and I didn't?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, he was in a different, I do this all the time with my mother. My mother, I swear, we're in different movies a lot. Because what she says happened and what I believe happened, I go, wow, I was in a different movie during that time. I was in a different universe. And it happens all the time. We just assume that somebody's remembering wrong. As opposed to, no, they really did have that memory because they were in a different universe at that time.
Wow.
So they have a different history.
Yeah, and it makes you think of deja vu, where your moment of wow, that's like, that could be exactly what you're talking about. There's like a shift.
It is. It is. That's when you have an experience of deja vu, it's another you. You just intersected with another you that had that already experienced it or something. That's what it is. You're connecting with another you. And you're feeling that one strong enough that it's like, whoa, I feel like I've been here before. Well, you have as another you.
You've
you guys
explained
just blended together.
Yeah, you've helped explain it so well because the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? I mean, when I saw that movie, I saw that movie on a trip, and I came home and I quit my job, and I've never worked for another company since then. But you have just explained a concept in that movie that was so hard to grasp, and it's just these parallel realities. So everyone get busy and practice and just start playing around with it and just believe and know. You can feel a sparkle in your body when you just create that way, and you can feel it. So thank you. There is
the Matrix has some of that in it too.
The Matrix.
The Matrix has a lot of that concept in it too.
I'd like to take time right now as we close today and unmute Susan. Susan has a question. She wants to be she's been told that that I am a parallel living in 4 universes. Would you scan my aura and check? So Susan, I'm going to take a chance and see if you have, there's 2 Susans. This is Susan T. No, I'm sorry, Susan P. Okay, Susan, say hello and see if we can hear you. And if Pam can't hear you. Oh, hello, we can hear your voice.
I'm on an iPhone, yes, on the webinar. Hi. I'm a little nervous.
Hi. Oh, Susan, you know what? Here's the deal. You're probably very sensitive anyway, but all of us are living in at least 4 universes. Simultaneously, we're living in infinite number of universes at the same time. We focus on one at a time. Now, you may focus every so often or be aware of multiple ones at the same time. Do you feel yourself kind of drifting out every so often? And you can't get grounded, you can't get practical because you're just like, wow, I can't get grounded. I feel like I'm disoriented and I'm disorganized and I'm scattered. You know, you're probably hearing or focusing on too many of them at the same time. Okay, but are you still there?
You're breaking up just a little bit, but yes. Yes.
So you understand, like if you went into a department store, an electronics store, and you saw like 100 TVs and they're all on different channels, well, most of us just go and focus on one TV, and that becomes our movie. That becomes what we focus on. That's our reality. That's what we think is real, and that's it. And all the others just go away because we're not paying attention. Well, some people get disoriented because they step back. They're experiencing like 3 or 4 different shows going on at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it's very disorienting. So that's probably what someone meant by that, because all of us are in infinite number of universes at the same time, all the time. We're just not aware of them.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes. So, Susan, thank you. Did that answer your question? And maybe she did drop off.
It did. Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
Well, and if you want to not have that disoriented feeling, now be careful, because a lot of people, when they start doing something like that, they get caught in the phenomenon of it and like the specialness of it and like the uniqueness of it. It's like, I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to be boring. I want to be unique. I want to be special. So then they get attached to doing it that way. But it can also be kind of disoriented and frustrating, and you might not ever be happy or get anywhere with that. So if you really want to not have that happen all the time, realize that all 4 of those, or an infinite number of those, are going on, but learn how to focus on one at a time, and then learn how to get adept at moving in and out of them consciously, not where it looks like you don't have any control or say over it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Susan. So as we close today, can you take a few minutes, just kind of like in a process, to show us how you do a meditation like that, just checking in? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so if everyone can just get rid of all the other distractions, we'll just do this for a few moments, okay? So just sit really still. I'll just show you how it works, and then you can do this on your own at any time. But just get really quiet and comfortable, and just still your mind best as possible. I know that can be challenging, but just get as quiet as you can, really, really quiet, and focus on your breathing and just calming it down, just being very, very still. Now, all around you is energy. It's just infinite energy. It's like sparkling light. Just little sparkles of light that you can't even see. It's just energy. And it's all around you. And you are an infinite, amazingly infinite, awesome, divine being who is a creator. And you came here, and you are here in the universe to create anything and everything that you desire. So all these universes are seamless. They're all as close as your breath. But to just move into a different one right now, just noticing that you're very comfortable and relaxed right where you are. And with your eyes closed, just look around at the universe you currently believe you live in. Just look at the people in your lives and your home environment and the work that you do. So notice that that one is in the universe that you're currently in, and we'll call that universe 1 just to give it a name. You can put a color to it or a letter to it or a name to it, whatever you want. But right now we'll just be simple. And this is universe 1, the one you're currently focused on. It's the one you're focusing your consciousness on. And as you focus in there, everything you believe is taking form based on what you're imagining exists. So this is universe 1. Now there's a shimmering, almost like a little waterfall, but it's a waterfall of light. And it's right to the right of you, just right there, almost touching your skin. And it's beautiful, and it's light, and it's fun, and it's easy, and it's gentle. It's just this beautiful waterfall of light all the way as far as you can see in like a waterfall, just one layer of it. As far up ahead as you can see and as far back as you can see. And it's like this thin, almost like a veil of light, but it's very thin. And you can put your right arm through it right now, and it just is so gentle. It's so light. It just feels happy on your skin. So right now, just put your right hand and your right arm through it to the other side of this, and pull your entire body through. Now just move your entire body all the way through this gentle waterfall of light, this thin veil. And on the other side, you've just stepped into universe number 2. Now everything is still the same. You're in the same room. It looks like the same room, but it's a different frequency. It's just a little bit different. It looks the same. The same people that exist are still in this world, but just with a slight difference. Slight difference. They're doing something different today, all those people. And the room just has a little bit different color to it. The colors just look a little bit different to you. So right now you're in universe 2, and it's just a subtle difference. And take a deep breath and relax. You're very safe here. It's very easy. It's all just made of energy. It's just made of light. It's just your consciousness using your imagination to even create this universe, this world. It's just your imagination. Now, we're over in universe number 3. Universe number 3 is a breath away. Don't go into it yet. Stay in universe number 2, where it's just a little bit different. Everyone you know is still in that universe, just a little bit different. When we go into universe 3, what's going to be over there is everything you could possibly want in your life. It's going to be so easy there and so amazing. So see how far away that layer of light is. There's another waterfall of light just a little bit over to your right. It might be a few feet away. Just notice in your universe how far away that wall of light is now, or that membrane of light, that waterfall of light. It's very gentle. It's very easy. It's very pretty. It's very sparkly. It's so gentle. It's so light, and it's happy. And notice how far away it is from you, and move over there so that you're right next to it. And this time face it, and take both your hands and part it almost like you're parting curtains. Just gently see this beautiful waterfall of light. Just open up and duck just a little bit and step right into universe number 3. There you are. Oh my gosh, take a deep breath. Feel how happy it is here. Oh my gosh, everything that you've always wanted and felt and dreamt in your life, everything you've ever longed for, here it is. It's in this universe. The love that you've wanted, the feeling of gratitude and fullness in your body, it's right here. Look at how beautiful everything is in this universe. Feel the ground underneath you. It's so loving. It's so warm. It's so supportive. Look at the colors around you. Feel how bright and happy, and they're so much more alive here. Look at, you've got so much abundance in this universe. Oh my gosh, everything you've ever wanted, the abundance, the financial wealth, it's all there. It's so much money in your bank account. You look around in your environment, everything is there. All the furniture you wanted, the home that you wanted. Look at it, it's right there. You just stepped into it. Oh my gosh, and everyone around you is so happy. They're so alive. They're so healthy. And anyone that you think that you carried from some old thing that you think they're not happy or healthy, now look closely. Look closely. This one's got a twinkle in their eye. Look at how happy they are. They were just pretending they weren't happy or feeling well. And this one, they're giggling. They're happy. They're alive. You guys were just pretending in that other one. You were just like playing like a play. This one, everyone is happy and healthy and getting along. And look at this, health and joy and abundance and freedom. And so much love. You can feel so much love in your heart right now that it just fills your entire body. It's almost like bursting out of you. You have so much joy and so much love. Now take a really deep breath. In this universe, you have everything you've ever wanted. Now you get to decide what you want to do now. What was really in your heart? Did you want to touch other souls? Did you want to help them be happy? Did you want to teach them how to be happy? Did you want to show them who they really are? Did you want to go travel? Did you want to be creative? What did you want to always do? You get to do it in this one now. In this universe, all your needs are taken care of. You have infinite amount of wealth. Everyone around you is already happy and feeling love. You're so full. Everything is so wonderful here that now you have the freedom and the joy and the wherewithal to do everything you always wanted. And it's really good because everyone else is happy and having fun and doing what they wanted. And you guys are all just like smiling and winking at each other like, oh my gosh, did you see what we did in that other one? This is so much more fun. I'm so glad we came into this one. This is so awesome. And the sun's shining and the weather is perfect and it's warm. Oh my gosh, and take a deep breath and decide that this is the energy, these are the emotions you want to feel. This is the universe you like to be in. And this one is available for you. And if you ever want to go poke your head or your body into other universes, they all exist. You can go into the other ones and go explore. You can go see ones that are darker or scarier or more work or sadder or not healthy. You can go play in any of them. They're all around you. All you have to do is go through whatever veil of light you want to. But this one's always available for you. You always can come back into this one because this one's your real state. This one is your alive state. This is your happy place. This is the one that really exists. So this one you can come back to anytime you want. If you want to go play in those others, even temporarily, even for a day, even for a week, for however long you want to, you get to go play in them, and then you can come back to this one anytime. And if you never want to leave this one, all you have to do is spend moments every day remembering how this one feels and what it looks like and how everyone else feels in this one. That is what brings you into this one easily and effortlessly. It's so fun. It's so giggly. Look at all you have to do is kind of giggle. You were just playing all along anyway. You just forgot that. Look at how easy it is here. So just remember, and if somehow you close your eyes and you accidentally find yourself that you slipped into one of the others, instead of going, oh, no, I lost my way home, all you have to do is go back into this one. It exists. It really exists. This one is truly an existence. You just have to laugh and giggle and breathe and fill your heart feeling happy and joy-filled, and you're right back into this one. So taking a deep breath, a big smile, big happy. And remember, anytime you have free will, you can go be in any of the others that you want to at any time. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It means you wanted to have the adventure of going into one that was either more serious or more powerful or more intense or more passionate or more that you had to go save people or more that you got to go do something else. Anytime you find yourself wanting to go into any of those, you have free will. You're a playful creature, and you're very powerful, and you've been given the divine gift of going into any universe you want to just for the experience. And you won't get lost. You can go into any of them and come back any time you want. It's not possible for you to get lost because you've already been in this one now. You already know it exists, so you can't get lost. You may be stubborn and decide you don't want to come back into this one, in which case we know that you're just doing the other one because you want to experience that intensity. And anytime you want to drop that one, you just glide easily. You part this light, you step into it, and you get to feel this joy all over again. So just be in this one now, the one that feels light and fulfilling and happy, and everything is here for you, everything. The health, the love, the joy, the freedom, the abundance. Everyone else is happy here. This is where we're going to leave you today, in this one. And you have the free will to go anywhere you want after this one, but this one is real. This is a valid, loving home for you anytime you want. So take a deep breath. Put a big smile on your face if you want to. And then open your eyes. And look around you and notice how the colors are just a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more fun. Look for the light. It's all around you. Okay?
Beautiful. Yes. Beautiful.
And can you feel that in your body and in your emotions? Could you feel it?
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who resisted feeling it, it's really okay. You can't do anything wrong. If you were afraid to go there because you're afraid you're being tricked, that's okay. It still exists. You got there for a moment. And, you know, you might be a little stubborn being, and that's okay, too. You're allowed to be stubborn because you may have had too many people telling you how to do it in this lifetime. So you get to do it your way, but those places, all those places exist for you, all of them. Just like we have different countries and different towns and different cities. You could go to Romania if you wanted. You could go to New Zealand. You could go to Hawaii. They all have different energies and different frequencies. So do all these different universes. And all you have to do, just like Dorothy and Wizard of Oz, click your heels and just go there. Mm-hmm. Just go there. You don't have to work that hard. It's actually very easy.
That's really good to know.
Okay.
Very easy. That's great. So,
and did people feel that? Can you ask people if they felt it, if they could feel at least a feeling of it, a glimpse of it, if they could feel it in their heart, if they could feel any sparkles at all?
I could feel it. I would love to hear from other people. So type in your experience.
And if they don't know how to, if they don't know how to do that or they don't want to, that's cool too. They can email me too if they want. You can go to auracolors at auracolors.com and just email me, A-U-R-A colors, or my website, Life Colors City, and just email me and tell me. And yeah, we'll be doing more things like this.
I could feel the actual. I felt the veil, the waterfall veil. I mean,
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Was it sparkly? Was it fun? Was it easy?
Yes, it was really cool. And so this is the magic. This is like, yeah. And
it really exists. And you know what? If people are afraid, that's okay. Just keep practicing it until you're not afraid anymore. You were probably afraid the first time you went to kindergarten, you know, or the first time you drove a car, the first time you spoke to someone. You know, who knows what kind of fear you've had. But it's okay. Just keep practicing until the fear's not there anymore.
Lots of comments coming in. Everyone's saying, yes, I could feel it, absolutely. The waterfall was sparkly, feeling happy and light. Elizabeth says it was amazing. I haven't felt that much peace and happiness and love ever. Wow. And Susan said she got very emotional. And sometimes, Julie says, sometimes I feel as though I'm on the edge of being somewhere else.
Cool. Well, you guys, for what it's worth, all these, that's more real than what we think is real and dense right here, okay? So all those universe, any universe you could imagine, it really does exist. Now, I'm assuming that most of you aren't thinking you're going to go turn into Alice in Wonderland. Do you know what I mean? It needs to feel, and even if you just do little bits at a time, like another universe feels better to you than the one you've been struggling in or whatever, it's an energy, it's your imagination, it's your emotions, it's a frequency, it's an energy, and that's how we create. You've noticed those people that their lives are always unhappy, they're always miserable because they're always hearing that radio station. They're always tuned into that frequency, oh man, my dog died and my husband left me and my car broke down. They're always listening to that music in their minds. So if you really, it's up to you. In your own way, in your own timing, it's just me offering you what you're capable of doing. And I know it works because it's worked for me over and over and over again. This is the magic. This is the magic. That's why we can say, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open, as a man thinketh. It's all our consciousness, you guys, and it really is so much. I bet you all of us right now believe, and we're feeling that life is supposed to be easier than it's been. We're feeling that it's supposed to be easier. And I believe that's what's going on in our mass consciousness right now, is that we're all going, you know what, we got to get out of level one thinking of struggle and going into where it was more magic, it was easy. We've all had those experiences where we think of something and we get it. We have a desire for something and all of a sudden we're living it. We go, well, I remember wanting this and now I have it. Just doesn't have to take that long anymore.
And one last question as we let everyone go and just create from this new magical way of being. What about dreams? We had a question earlier. Are we in parallel realities in our dreams?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we're remembering when we fly in our dreams, we're remembering that we can fly.
That's exactly right. You are in other universes and other different degrees. And see, we think over there it's not real, and here we're actual physical bodies. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to anybody that's had a near-death experience, they say as soon as they crossed over, that felt real, and this felt like a dream.
Mm.
This felt illusionary. This reality didn't feel real at all. It's when they're on the other side, the colors, they see colors they've never seen before. It's more real. It's more vibrant. There are a lot of those stories out there right now, you guys. So it's like, you guys, come on, we're not taking advantage of the fact that this is all energy. And I changed my body this way. When I started getting a little poof in my belly, I go, no, this is all energy. I can sculpture my body any way I want and doggone it if that doesn't go down.
That's interesting. I had a dream the other night, and my son goes, yeah, you're getting thin.
Yeah.
Interesting. We can do this for
Well, the only reason we lose weight when we think we have to diet or exercise a lot is because we believe that.
We believe it. Yes, we believe it. Mm-hmm.
We imagine. We use our imagination. So use your imagination for you. And if you guys go, but what if it doesn't work? Wait, you guys, seriously, it does. You got to just, that imagination has to be stronger than like Universe 1. Believe, being in Universe 3, what we just did, you need to see that that's more real than Universe 1, so you don't keep pulling yourself back to Universe 1 with your beliefs and your emotions. And I really appreciate all of you, the people that gave feedback. Thank you so much for giving me feedback, so I know that you guys actually felt it.
Well, this has just been really wonderful. Rachel says, thank you for a life-altering webinar. So thank you, Pamala Oslie. Wonderful. Just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for everybody listening and playing with us. I'm glad you're in my universe.
Yes. Well, let's play together, everyone. Really, this is the shift. This is what the shift is about. Remembering that we are divine beings, and this quantum physics aspect is proving that, yes, we can create our world with our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotion. So happy creating, everyone. And thank you, Pamala, so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, everyone. We'll send you this recording. Bye.